Welcome back to the Awesome Agents podcast. Okay, Maya, we need to talk about this Citrini memo because the internet lost its mind this week.
Yeah, this one is fascinating. Not because of what it says, honestly, but because of what the reaction tells us about where people's heads are right now.
So for anyone who missed it, a research firm called Citrini published a blog post on Substack. What was it exactly?
It's a fictional memo written as if it's June 2028 and the economy has already collapsed. AI automated white-collar work so fast that unemployment hit 10% and the S&P crashed 38%.
And this is not a real forecast. This is literally a thought experiment.
Correct. Zero new data, no economic model, just a very well-written what-if scenario dressed up as a dispatch from the future.
So how did a blog post move actual markets? Because that's what happened, right?
16 million views on X, real sell-offs that wiped billions off listed companies. It was wild.
Okay, walk me through the core idea. They have this concept called ghost GDP.
Right, so ghost GDP is their term for output that shows up in national accounts but never reaches the workers who used to earn it. Companies adopt AI agents, cut headcount, margins go up, individually rational.
But collectively, everyone loses because the workers were also the consumers.
Exactly. It's a classic demand destruction argument. The memo gets really specific too. It names companies, gives timelines, projects that the median American consumes 400,000 tokens per day by 2027.
That level of detail is probably what made it feel real to people.
100%. When you write it as a retrospective, like it already happened, your brain processes it differently than a prediction.
So who pushed back? Because I saw Citadel Securities actually published a formal rebuttal.
They did, and it is the sharpest counter-analysis out there. Their main argument is what they call the recursive technology fallacy.
Which means what in plain English?
Citrini assumes AI writing code creates this compound acceleration effect. Citadel says no, technology adoption follows S-curves with natural plateaus. And the compute costs to actually displace white-collar work at scale are enormous.
Yeah, there's a natural braking force. At some point, it is just cheaper to keep the human.
Right. And they make a classic economics point too. Productivity shocks are positive supply shocks. They lower costs, expand output, increase real income. The money doesn't just disappear.
Noah Smith was pretty blunt about it too, right?
He called it a scary bedtime story. His point was that without an actual macroeconomic model, you can't trace how these effects cascade. You're just vibes.
Okay, but here is what I keep coming back to. The memo is wrong about the timeline, probably. But is the underlying worry wrong?
And that is where it gets interesting. The distributional argument is actually the strongest part. Even if GDP grows, the gains can concentrate among capital owners and a shrinking pool of AI-skilled workers.
And that's not hypothetical. Labor's share of GDP has been declining since the 1970s.
From 64% down to about 56% today. The memo projects 46% by 2028, which is aggressive, but the direction isn't fictional.
Indian IT stocks lost $50 billion in market cap in February alone on AI disruption fears. That's real money reacting to a real possibility.
And Nvidia just posted a record $68 billion quarter. Companies are spending massive amounts to automate exactly the kind of work the memo describes.
So the question is not whether AI reshapes the labor market, it's how fast and how unevenly.
And whether institutions adapt in time. That's always the variable nobody can model well.
You know what is wild to me? An actual negative earnings report might move a stock 5%. A literal work of fiction sends the market into a tailspin.
One of the market strategists quoted in the coverage said exactly that. The anxiety has no good outlet. There's no data release that tells you how fast AI is replacing jobs, so a well-written narrative fills the void.
That anxiety is the real story here.
I think so. The memo is a mirror. It reflects a fear that the economy is changing faster than anyone can measure. The critics are right on the economics, but the fear is not irrational.
Nobody has a good model for what happens when the most productive technology in decades hits an economy where income distribution is already stretched thin.
The gap between AI raises GDP and AI raises your paycheck is where the actual crisis lives, and that gap isn't fictional.
That is a great place to leave it. Thanks for breaking this down, Maya. If you want to read the full analysis, check out the link in the show notes. See you next time.
See you next time.